Hi guys, today we're going to go through some question types that you're going to be able to see when you take a Clearsight or iLearn test. So we're going to talk through the actual question types that you're going to use. We're going to talk about how to answer them and what you need to look for. So this question is going to be probably one of the most common that you're going to see, and it is just multiple choice. So with the question that is multiple choice, it only lets you choose one answer. So whatever answer that you want to choose, say I wanted to choose answer C, but I accidentally clicked A. It's okay because literally you just go and click C and it takes you right to the answer that you want. So these, I think, are probably the most to make sure you're selecting, the easiest, to make sure you're selecting the right answer. Now, you still need to focus on the question. You still need to really make sure you're answering what is being asked, especially one like this that is tricky. But answering specifically these kinds of questions is pretty simple. All right, this is going to be the next question type that you're going to see. A lot of times you're going to see a question like this where you have to just find your answer. Now, this might look like a calculator, but it is not. They're not going to let you use a calculator on here, but and I will tell you, those of you that do have accommodations, these little 3 lines here is going to be where you find some of those. Also, you do have a notepad. So if you want to do your work on the notepad, you actually could and write your changes, but you don't have to. It's just an option. Now, reading the question and then answering the question is going to be something that's important. So making sure, again, that you're answering the question being asked. Now, using this, there are a couple of different options. If I want to go ahead and type my number with my keyboard, I can. I can use my Chromebook or I can use my desktop, whatever computer you have, and type the numbers like normal. The other option is to use your mouse. So I could type whatever I think the answer is right here with my mouse. A couple of the things you're going to see an arrow. This arrow moves that cursor. So say I didn't want this to be a 4. I wanted to delete that, just that 4. You just move that cursor and you just delete that number. That's what this one does as well. Then you have an undo and a redo button. So, I didn't mean to delete the 4. If I hit the undo, it comes back. Or, I shouldn't have done that. Hit the redo and it redoes it again. Okay, so this kind of like is your lifeline. If you delete something on accident, it puts it back for you. Okay? The last thing that you're going to see on this top line here is this button right here. That is the delete button. So if I want to get rid of one number at a time, I would just do that. Again, you can use your backspace on your computer with the delete button, absolutely. But this is another way to do it. Another button that you're going to notice is your decimal down here. So 5.8, if that was my answer, that's how I use my decimal. You just type it like you normally would. Super simple. The last thing that you're going to see, this one is awesome. It is a game changer. This is your fraction button. This helps you and helps the computer to know that your answer is a fraction. Now, when you push the fraction button, you notice that it pops up and it looks like a fraction. So you click on the numerator section and you can type your numerator. I click on my denominator section and I can type my denominator. And then I just click next to it. And that shows the computer that my fraction is done. And I can do whatever I need to do. So if I want to add something to it, I can. If I want to do, say I want to do a mixed number, I could do that as well. So this is something that's an option. I am going to show you a mixed number. So if I want to write the number 1.5, I'm going to write my whole number. So I'm going to write my 1. Then I will click my fraction button and put 1/2. That's how you would do a mixed number. Using this keypad is interesting and it is very important to know how to do, especially when you know that your answer is a fraction. Now, this is another kind of keypad that you're going to have. Notice it has the fraction button, just like our last one did. It also has parentheses, less than, equal to, or greater than symbols. You're adding, subtracting, multiplying, and division symbols. And it also has this little cool button. So this is how you would do exponents. So in Unit 5 and 6, we talked about powers of 10 and using exponents in exponential form. We also did it earlier in the year. So if I wanted to say my answer was 10 to the power of 4, you're going to write 10. You will then click the exponent button and you will put your 4. That is how you show that is 10 to the power of 4. Then you can click right next to it and it gets you ready to where you can add something else if you would like. Say I want to say 10 to the power of 4 plus 7. That's how you would do that kind of question. Okay. One of the other things that you're going to notice, besides the fractions is there, you know that. That's the exponent question. We have parentheses. So sometimes, like this question, you have to write an expression where you need to have parentheses. So it says 20 divided by the product of 5 and 2. So the first thing I need to do is find the product of 5 and 2. So I'm going to have parentheses for that. Now, we know that product means multiply. So I'm going to do 5 times 2 inside my parentheses. Right? Now, I'm going to divide 20 by that. So I'm going to go before, and I'm going to write 20 divided by 5 times 2. That is my hint that my answer is finished. That is my hint that I know that 20 divided by this number is how I find my problem. Okay? And then maybe I'm going to find an actual answer. So 20 divided by the product of 5 times 2 equals blank. That's how you would type parentheses. Another thing that I want to show you is using the actual symbol for division that we've been using in class. We've been using the symbol that looks like a slash mark, right? So that mark actually makes your answer into a fraction. So it doesn't work like we normally need it to work. So if you have to use a division symbol, it will be right here in this keypad for you. Okay? Another kind of question you're going to notice is one that kind of looks like this. Basically, you have to fill in the chart. So you might have something at the top. It tells you your rules. It tells you what to do at the bottom. And you actually have to answer the chart or put answers in for the chart. So this one specifically talks about a pattern and it tells you exactly what to do. So pattern X, we're dividing by 2. So 36 divided by 2 is 18. So I can use my keypad to type that in. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So again, I could use my keypad, or I click this little button here, and that lets me type the number 9. See how easy that is? Pattern Y, we're going to add 7 each time. So if I'm going to the right, I'm adding 7. So 19 plus 7 is 26. If I go to the left, I'm subtracting 7. So 19 minus 7 is 12. That's how you would answer a question that looks like this. All right. Sometimes you're going to have questions that look like this one. So this one, these boxes are very similar. You've already seen them. These are awesome because, again, you can type it in or you can use the keypad and you can do it that way, whichever is easiest for you. But notice we have this little box right here. So this is a drop-down box. So literally you make sure that everything is answered, right? So this has to have an answer in it. So click that button and you have a drop-down box right here that tells you what to do. So you can add, subtract, multiply, divide. So when you answer a question like this, you need to make sure that you have an answer in every section or else you can't go on. Sometimes you're going to see questions that look like this, where it talks about different patterns within a number problem. When it does a question like this, it's basically multiple choice. But instead of having words, it has a chart for you to look at. Another version of this is this question here. Again, it's multiple choice, but instead of giving you words, it gives you a line plot to look at. So again, Multiple choice lets you choose one only. So you just have to find the answer that's the best answer. All right, now we're getting into some awesome, fun questions. These are some of my favorite ones. This one right here is great because it shows us a couple of things. First, it shows you that you have to use ordered pairs. Second, it gives you a graph that you have to look at, and then the boxes below. And then finally, you know it's kind of like multiple choice. Kind of. So for point A, I need to find the actual coordinates. So you go over 3 and up 7. I know that I go across the playground to go up the slide. So over 3, up 7. So now I need to find the coordinate pair that matches. And that would be this one right here. Now, say I click the wrong button in that row. If you click another answer in that row, it deletes your original. So it only lets you click one answer per row. Point B, I go over 7, up 7. And point C, I'll go over 7, up 3. Now, if I clicked this button right here, I would be able to click it. But I know that wouldn't be the right answer. Okay, so keep that in mind. Also, just like multiple choice, on a multiple choice question, sometimes answers aren't used, right? Same idea. For this question, there are 2 answers that were never used, and that's okay. Knowing that there are going to be some that won't be used is important, okay? Especially because you can only do one per option, one per point. This is one way that you would answer questions. This is another kind of question. This one is going to use a line connect tool or adding points. Sometimes you're going to need to add a point because it gives you a coordinate that you need to find. Sometimes you need to make sure that you have the points there. Sometimes you're just going to have to draw lines. So we're going to go through the tools that you're going to see here. So the directions say, use the connect line tool to create a parallelogram that is not a rectangle. So I'm going to start with my line tool. And I know that it can't be a rectangle, but I'm going to start with drawing a rectangle or a square because I know that's going to help me. Okay. I know that's going to help me. So now I have a square. Then I can click this button right here. That's my grabber tool that makes it an arrow. And now I can grab this point and do anything I want to do with it. So I can make it into a parallelogram just by grabbing the corners and moving them to make it that way. Okay? So this tool is kind of neat because you can draw lines and connect them. Then if your shape isn't perfect, you literally just pick up that point and move it however you want it to move. Okay? So if I need to make a parallelogram, I know that this is not a parallelogram. Oh, there we go. That one is. See how easy that is? Now, say I accidentally drew an extra line from here to here, and I don't want that line because I don't need it. You actually click the delete button here and click on the point, and it deletes that line. You see it? Awesome. And this is the other version of that question. So again, this is where I'm going to put a coordinate. So this is my original. It tells me how I need to change it. So I need to put a new coordinate at 9, 8. So over 9, up 8, I would put my point there. Now, on this test, it does not say to put 9 points on there. It doesn't say to put 29 million of them. I can put as many as I want. But if I do this, my answer will be wrong. Do I have one in the right spot? Yes. But I also have like 20 on here that aren't in the right spot. So on questions like this, be very careful because especially this one says to only use one. It doesn't say to do a lot of them. It does not say to use 92 points. It doesn't say to use 35 points. It says to put 1 point. And again, I'm just deleting those points. So lining it up and deleting those points. want to talk about this question for just a moment. I want to show you something with this question. On this question, notice that there's a picture and a figure, and it also has something here called a key. So a key is something you would see in maps usually. So in social studies, if you look at a map of the United States, it might show you, if you see this line, it means a road. This line means a bridge. This line means a train tracks, right? So your key is important because it tells you what the symbols mean. So if you look at this picture, it says that each one of those rectangles represents 1 cubic inch. So basically, this part of my picture is measured out for me already, and I know the total. I need to figure out what this gray part is. Well, I can't move that inch anywhere. I can't do anything with it. But I can use it to help me measure this part of my story or my picture out, right? That's what you need to do, is use that key to help figure out how to measure, and then type your answer below. And I believe this is the last kind of question that you're going to see, I think. So on this question, this is one where you really have to read what it says. Notice the very first 2 words of the sentence. Select all. That means that there's more than one answer. That means that you need to really think through what the question is asking and find the best choices most of the time for the question. Now, this is what I want you to keep in mind. If I am answering a question and say my answer is supposed to be the middle 3, if I only choose one of those answers, my answer will be wrong. If I choose 2 of those answers, my answer will be wrong. If I mark all 5 answers, my answer will be wrong. If I mark a random answer instead of one of them, my answer will be wrong. On these questions, in order to get your credit and full credit, you have to have it perfect. You can't have extra choices marked, and you must have all of the correct choices marked. That's how it works. So even if I choose 2 of the correct answers, it still would be marked incorrect because I need to show all of them. Okay? All right, here is another question type that you might see. So on this one, it says, click the parts of each model, show how much Tom and John each have in their picture, yes. And this one you have to click to shade, okay? Basically, you find the fraction, you click the amount that you need to have shaded. Also notice that there is a part B. So on that part B, you have to also have an answer. And then this one, 3/5 times 2/3. So I'm going to go to 3/5. And I'm going to do it to 2/3, and you have to shade the right amount. So again, it's clicking on the right amount, making sure that you have it shaded. Okay? All right, here's one where you have to drag the parentheses. So basically, this is a drag and drop. So it gives you the number model, and it says you need to make sure that you make the expression equal 36. So you need to use the parentheses somehow. Notice that I can use them more than once. You need to use the parentheses somehow to make your answer equal 36. Okay? If I don't like it, I can click the delete button and it lets me delete the parentheses that I don't need. Okay? Sometimes you have to have more than one set of parentheses. Make sure you use them if you need to. Okay? Let's see. Again, this is one that is a drag and drop question. So you take your little airplane and you move it to where you think it needs to be. So it's literally you drag it where you think you need to put it and you let go. That's how you answer the drag and drop questions. You do need to answer the question that's being asked, of course. You don't just put it in a random place. Make sure you really read what you're being asked in the question and make sure you're putting it in the right spot. But that's how you use the drag and drop questions. And finally, this is one more version of a drag and drop question. Notice it has little boxes up here because you need to take one of these and put them in each box. You cannot hit continue until all 3 boxes have an answer. So You figure out the math, you do what it says to do, and you move your image where it needs to go. And finally, this is the last kind of drag and drop. This is going to be it for this kind of for this specific video. What you're going to do is, again, drag and drop. So if you talk about rectangular prism with a volume of 36 units, you need to figure out a way to make that happen. So just like the parentheses question, if I use this once, it doesn't mean that it's gone. It doesn't mean I can't use it again. So be careful when you do this, okay? So I'm going to delete these for right now. So I need to delete the that one right there. I need to find a rectangular prism with a volume of 36 cubic units. So maybe I'm going to do 1 times 6 times 6. That's how I would do that kind of question. You can add as many as you want, so be careful. Notice it looks like it's on top of each other, but you can see that there's more than one there. So you have to be careful and really try to make sure how many do you have and how many do you need. Okay? That's how you do this kind of question. Drag and drop questions, I think, are kind of simple, but again, you just have to double check. Have a great day, guys. All right, so I think that is it. Most of the question kinds that we have, most question types that we're going to use, I showed you today. There may be 1 or 2 more that we just didn't get a chance to show you today, and that's okay. Be very careful. If there is a question that you just don't know how to answer, ask. I know language arts is different. You have to select certain sentences sometimes. You have to move the questions. You have to do drag and drop. So be very careful, because if you have one of those questions, you need to know how to answer those as well. Okay? If you need to know anything else about the Clearsight's test, if there's something that you want to review with me, please feel free to do so. We will be doing some of these tests as practice for the next couple of weeks, just to get practice doing the assessment, going through some of the skills. So please, please, please make sure that you're on my live lessons. Make sure you're ready to do these practices and ready to see what this next little unit and quarter has to share with us. Have a great day, guys.